Welcome to Mindful Talk, brief conversations about mindfulness in the workplace and at home. I am your host, Lauren Wessinger.
And I'm your host, Misti Anderson. And this podcast is brought to you by the Mindful Project.
The Mindful Project helps you elevate the culture of your business by bringing mindfulness practice to you and your staff through in-person and virtual learning. Contact us through our website, themindfulproject.co, for more information. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Mindful Talk. Misti and I are here today to talk about celebration of milestones and also of small moments. Hi, Misti.
Hi, Lauren. I am honored to be here today because this topic actually came about because a good friend of Lauren and I's, his name's Tony. He's a wise individual. Hi, Tony. My girls had gotten their report cards and they did really well. And he was congratulating me and he said, "What are you going to do?" And in our home, it's a big deal. We try to make the report cards, when you do well, you get all the things that mom says no to most of the time. And I told him that, and he said, "You should ask them what their goals are for this next part of the report cards." And I was like, gosh. And when I took a breath, what I thought of was, I'm not pausing to fully celebrate this and embrace the other pieces of it makes you grow. And without reflection, you speed through it and it's not as important because it didn't really sit in there. And so that's kind of where this conversation came from. And it has really allowed me to take a step back and slow down in those moments. And we're planning a very big retirement party and celebration for my husband in week after next. And, I've talked on here before about my Southern lady inside of me that won't shut up and tells me I'm supposed to wait on everybody. So she's like raging right now. She wants me to do all the things. But I really want to enjoy and celebrate this moment and I don't want to miss it. So I'm trying really hard to focus on that and remind myself, celebrate milestones.
Beautiful. So beautiful. I don't even know if you realize this, but what you're describing, and I think this is actually another episode topic, so I'll be super brief, but what you're describing is called the neuropsychology of learning and the way to make a positive feeling or temporary state become a trait, become part of who you are, so that you then automatically pause to celebrate big moments, because that process requires that you know what you want to grow. So for you want to be more present for these milestones and pause long enough to really let them soak in. That's what you said. And that is exactly what it is.
Wow.
It's knowing what you want to grow. It's pausing long enough, being awake enough to your life to even know there's a moment in front of you to savor. And then pausing long enough also to be like, how does this feel in my body? That heart swell maybe that you would feel, or the butterflies in your stomach, and just that really good feeling of love or pride or admiration for your husband and your girls. Pausing for that 3-step process lets that experience soak in literally to your nervous system, to your cell tissue, so that it stays with you. Because we know this, we're not designed to let the good soak in because our survival doesn't depend on that. And so you wise woman just described something.
Thanks. It's been tough because it's not in my nature really to reward myself. I took a writer's workshop last week and she was like, okay, so, if you finish this, say a chapter, for each chapter you do, what's going to be your thing? What are you going to do for yourself? And I was like, go to the next chapter. And she's like, no, you're going to do what's something you would love to do. And I was like, I would like to go and ride on the beach. She's like, then that's what you're going to do. That'll be your next session. And that's the reward to yourself. And she's like, you keep going for those rewards and then you sit in them and remember how good they feel. It keeps you going.
Yep.
And so I'm really learning that right now. And that's why I said it's a very relevant topic to me because, like I said, it's not in my nature to slow down and enjoy those moments.
If this gives you a little bit of grace, I don't think it's in anyone's nature. Maybe some people more than others, but it's just not how we're built.
Yeah.
It's just not how we're designed. And within that, there's degrees of it, but yeah.
Well, it's like I think about older people like my grandparents. I used to always wonder why they wanted to like sit around and chat and like look at me, and just chat. It's because they have the perspective of I'm going to be in this moment and you're here. So I'm going to soak up everything I can because you're here. Mm-hmm. I get that now. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. I guess you have to get to middle-aged.
Right. I know.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. What a blessing that we can be.
Yeah, I know.
Or at middle we live, but
yeah. Do y'all have anything in your household that you routinely celebrate, or how there's something that comes up like report cards or something like that?
Yeah, my husband is just so good at celebrating professional milestones for me. Like if something big happens, I've had a couple of things happen. He's like, we need to go out to dinner and celebrate. I'm like, really? You want to do that with me? Like, you want to take me out and celebrate this? Like, he's so good at just stopping whatever's going on in the middle of a crazy week and making sure we just pause to celebrate. And he wants to do the same. And we do most of the time with the kids for good report cards. And he's just really good at celebrating bigger events, and I feel like I'm better at moving the small event bus forward. Like I'm good at the everyday celebrations, like the tiny things, just pausing and reflecting back to someone that they did a good job in that small moment. And then he's better at the big stuff. So I guess we're a good team in that way,
That's how it is at our house. Identical, actually.
Really?
Yeah, same thing. And it's really nice because I feel like if I'm feeling rushed and not going to honor something, he will swoop in and say, hey, let's get a pizza and have movie night so we can all be together to celebrate whatever it is.
Right.
And I just think those little bitty celebrations are what you will ultimately remember. And just like you said, that feeling, you will always remember that feeling. And it's what they always tell you. Doesn't matter what you say to people. It's how you make them feel. This is true with this too. You just think back to the feeling and then you're like, oh.
It's so true. And it's like, even if you feel too busy to stop and celebrate, I think do it anyway, because I think of this often and I teach on it often, yoga and meditation. Like if we're not looking for these little small pockets of time and joy and celebration and love, like life is one big lump. Like one of my teachers, T.S. Little, calls it time that has been concretized, like a big concrete lump of time. When you're like, what's going on? Like, has there been any pause in this trajectory? And I'm just going through the grind and going through the motions. And it's up to us to pause and be like, what's good right now?
I think that whenever I was starting to meditate, I used Insight Timer and, it logs your sessions. And so when I would get to 7 days, I would get myself like a really fancy coffee. And it sounds really crazy, but it was like my way of making that a habit and giving myself a reward, even though I was miserable doing it because I was not enjoying myself as I was learning all of it. But that little bitty reward helped me and it helped me stay accountable. And it's just coffee. And if I would have not done it, it didn't matter. And some weeks I didn't do it, but when I did it and I did 7 days, and I hadn't thought about that in a long time. And it was such a little bitty thing for myself, but it's a great reminder for you guys. Like if your mindfulness practice and your meditation practice has weighed or you don't have one, reward yourself, and it doesn't even have to be big. It can be like you're going to start a new show or you're going to, get up extra early and do something for yourself, whatever it is. I think it's important.
Definitely. I do that too. I'm really big on the little presents for myself when I have certain small personal milestones. And you like you do, I hold myself to it. Like there's no cheating. If I did 5 days and not 7, I don't get the thing. I mean, no, I didn't make the goal. And it's fun and it's gentle. It's not like a rigid, weird thing. It's just something like I did a thing and I'm going to reward myself like I said I would for doing the thing,
Yeah.
because showing up to do something for yourself that you said you were going to do is a huge deal in learning to trust you. Like, I want to do this thing. I said I was going to do it for this many days. I showed up for myself. I can believe myself. I can trust my own word, which is like, when do we ever get to focus on that? You
I,
know?
I I didn't think that I could do any kind of editing to like make a meditation. And somehow I've learned that through YouTube and now it happens. And I'm not kidding. The day I learned it, and this probably sounds ridiculous to a lot of people, I walked out of my office and I was like, I feel like I've conquered the world and I'm going to get a milkshake. I did. It seems silly. I'd been craving a milkshake for some reason. And I did. I went and got a milkshake because that to me was something I never thought I could do. I really never thought I could learn that stuff. I was like, I can record in GarageBand just fine, but don't ask me to stop it and piece together things and add in music. Guess who can do that now? It's insane.
That is not a small accomplishment. I mean, I know the amount of hours and frustration it takes to get there because it's a learning curve. And unless you want to pay a consultant to teach you, you got to figure it out on your own.
Yeah, it's it's very much like teaching yourself to ride a bike, which is
Yeah.
really hard. And but I celebrated it and I felt really good. And Barrett, he told me how proud he was of me, and we talked about it at dinner. That was something else I thought of when I treated myself last time to something that was just a personal, like a business thing for myself. I had told myself I was going to go get coffee. You can see a theme here. I reward myself with coffee. Anyway, we were sitting in the drive-through and the girls were with me. And so I was like, girls, you get a treat today. Do you know why we're getting a treat? And they were like, no. And I was like, mom did, la, la, la. And they were like, cool, way to go, mom. So now anytime they're like, do you have any goals? They think they're going to get something. But I hope I'm teaching them, like, even I do it. Like I reward myself and I celebrate and talk about it and celebrate it with them. And it feels really good because, they're just tiny little people and they'll cheer for anything.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I think little and big celebration is actually really important now in another way. I Someone in my family asked me a couple weeks ago, like, are you guys going to do an episode on Ukraine and what's going on in the state of this world? And well, this episode isn't that. Um, I think that when the world feels like it's falling apart and it's on fire, as it has been in 1,000 ways since 2020, um, I think it's important that we don't let our personal practices of resilience, celebration being one of them, um, get overshadowed for fear of guilt. Like I think that if we stop celebrating because of all the hatred in the world, the hatred has won.
Yeah.
And so I think the guilt is normal. And I think it is like doubly important right now to keep doing the things that bring you toward the light personally and collectively.
I agree. I got teary eyed because, we're right here at the end of the retirement and then this war starts. And so the amount of worry that we've both had has been tremendous. And to be able to go forward
Yes.
and to celebrate this feels like it's just literally the best. I only attribute it to like maybe whenever we got married. Like that's not even like the babies. It's just everybody's coming in and it'll be a great celebration. And I've told, so this is good for all you Southern women. I've told everybody that's coming and staying at my house, look, I want to wait on you hand and foot. I want to cook all the things and I want to do, but I'm not going to. And I'm going to purposely have all of the things in the kitchen. And of course you have your towels and your toiletries and et cetera. But I'm going to sit and chat and enjoy myself and not try to just make sure everybody's taken care of. And everybody has been like, of course, Misty, we want you to do that. But I needed people to say, sit down. And because I promise you, when it gets here, I'll try. And so that will be my mindfulness practice that entire weekend is be in the moment, soak this up, enjoy it, celebrate it, because it just goes really fast. And that's how celebrations are. And so if you don't get in the moment, you don't get the feeling. And then it's like, was that, when was that? And then
Yeah.
before you know it, it's just a forgotten memory, which is so sad.
I
So
mean, it's, like weddings or weekends like this that you're going to have can be among the most stressful events of a lifetime. And I think you will have a fantastic weekend because one, you've decided that you want it to be a certain way. You're going to be present to it and you've told your people. So they're going to hold you accountable. And I think that was super genius to tell them. One, to let them know, hey, I'm not going to be waiting on you hand and foot. But two, like they love you and they're going to say, Misty, don't do that. Come here, let me do it. You sit down and blah, blah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can sense when people are hungry and when they need something to drink. And as soon as I sense it, I'm like, oh, I got to get up.
I know.
No, you're grown people. The
They are
cups are
grown.
over there. It's a hard practice. And I know we have so many listeners that know exactly what I'm talking about. Company can bring that out in general.
Yes.
But when it comes to, the celebration part, it's just really important to me. And so I made it a priority. So if there's something important for you coming up, and even if it's, seems little to everybody else, but it's important to you, find a way to celebrate it. Like write yourself a list. I think good homework would be writing yourself a list of like big and small things that you would do just for you. Like if I ever actually finish like 10 chapters of my book, I'm going to take a weekend away all by myself. That's my reward. I'm not writing on that weekend, just going that way. But that's a big one. And that's a lot of chapters. So it's, but it's there and it's hanging out. So if you have something that you really want to do, or, you want to make space for it, it's a great way.
I love it. I think we should always reward ourselves. I know some people have a really hard time doing it. And I love that. I love the big ones. So whatever your big thing is right now, your big project, your big goal, decide now what the reward is, like decide what the goal is and then the reward. And then if there's something little, do the coffee one. Sometimes for me, it's like, I'll go get my nails done if I do this for the next X amount of time, or I'll go buy myself that shirt I wanted or those pants,
Yeah. There's all kinds of ways to treat yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, like tons of ways. Going to the movies by yourself, just make you a list of things that, and for moms and parents, you'll probably relate to this, that you wouldn't do if kids weren't around. Like if kids and it was just you and you were somewhere and you could do what you wanted to do, what would you do? That's really hard to think about. And I think it's worth sitting and making a list, because when you get in the rules of life, you forget what it is and what things you do enjoy. I'm really bad about that. So I actually do keep a list on my phone.
Yeah. Make a list. And if you're one who finds it really, really hard to reward yourself, I'll gently suggest that there's something there that probably relates back to childhood that would be probably worthy of your time to start to unpack and journal about and talk to a loved one about, and really rewrite that story of your own worthiness for your own, gift giving and love and compassion and attention and care. All of that, all the trips we have relate back to childhood. So
Yep.
it would be a really beautiful one to heal,
Mm-hmm.
to know that you're worthy of, really it's being worthy of receiving positivity.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's like when people make a comment about your outfit being great and then they just never really accept the comment. The same kind of thing. Say thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I have enjoyed our time today. I always love talking to you. It's makes me remember. It's a really good mindful remember practice for me, especially as this is coming up, to be in the moment and to celebrate. And for all of you guys, big or small, celebrate. We appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to y'all soon.
Thank you so much for listening to Mindful Talk. We don't take it lightly that you spent your time listening to our podcast, and we are forever grateful. If you'd like to support the podcast, please subscribe on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a rating and a review. Welcome to a more mindful way of living and working.